So the theme of this workshop, as has been said, is making collaborations count, and this marks the World Quality Day that we celebrate today. My name is Tanya Pullwitt. I'm a Principal Human Factors Consultant working for Lloyds Register Consulting, and I'll say more about what this means in a moment. And we're based in Aberdeen.
Could you click mouse once more?
Okay, get this over here. Okay. So the presentation I've prepared for you today will take you on a little journey, and we start with company overlook. So I'll give you a bit of an insight to what we're doing in Lloyds Register and what we're doing in Lloyds Register Consulting, and how this relates to quality. I'll also talk about the link between quality and safety, and so the journey will continue into safety topics that are highly relevant if you look at quality. And then we move into the collaborative part of the presentation. So I'll be talking about my favorite topic, which is collaboration in safety critical situations. Lloyds Register has a vision, and it stands for a mantra really, which is that we're there to enhance the safety of life and property at sea, on land and in the air. And we work with businesses and organizations around the world. We help our clients face today's challenges and plan for tomorrow and beyond. So this is our vision, and there's truly some implications for quality in this. We are a charity, and this has implications for the way we work, and I'll say a bit about this in a moment. So what do? We provide independent assurance and expert advice to companies operating in high-risk industries. These organizations usually have capital-intensive assets, and our main clients are in the energy and transportation sector. We help our clients to ensure the quality, construction and operation of critical infrastructure. So we're talking about ships, we're talking about oil platforms, we're talking about power plants, we talk about trains. In the past we've looked at airplanes, everything that is critical for human life, and the construction of assets and the quality that you have to put into this to make sure that we protect people's life. Through our business assurance services, we also help companies to manage their systems and risks across a wide range of sectors. So, the Lloyds Register Group at a glance. We operate from around 250 locations worldwide, in 228 countries and territories. There's about 80,000 employees in Lloyds Register, and they're coming from 19 nationalities. We've just celebrated our 250th birthday in 2010. We work on a charitable basis. What that means is we don't have shareholders, and we're not distributing profit. That allows us to work at a different pace, if you like, and in a different way. We have 4 business divisions. They are marine, energy, transportation and management systems, and I think this is where where is he? Lloyds comment came from for LRQA. So this is a business line. This is, however, not the business line that I'm from, but we do have that business line as well. So talking about quality, quality is a topic that it's not a product, it's not an end station. If you talk about quality, you talk about a process that is never ending. And I'm not sure how many of you have actually conducted studies in this area and probably know much more about this than I do. But if you look at the Oxford definition of quality, it is the degree of excellence of something. So that's rather vague, the degree of excellence of something. So you might ask, where's the measure for quality? And how do we define for a product or for a service what quality actually is? The measure is constantly reinvented, and it's reinvented by your clients. They will tell you what they expect of you, and they will tell you whether they're happy with your product and services or not. So if you strive to increase your quality of services and products, you have to systematically analyze your products and services and the responses from your clients to improve. And so that's a continuous effort. That's not something you do once and then forever and for good you have quality. It's something that evolves over time, since client needs and demands evolve over time. And a very important factor to this is obviously top management. If they're not committed to quality and to the evolvement and continuous improvement of quality, then you won't have it in your company. So what does this all have to do with safety? Now, I was saying that quality is a process, and it's a responsibility on your side to make sure that it's in place. Because if you don't, you're going to lose your clients. Quality in our business has to do with making sure that assets are designed, constructed, commissioned, and operated and maintained in a way that life is protected. It's as simple as that. We talk about oil platforms, hazardous environments. These are construction sites with scaffolds and cranes moving about and heavy loads being moved about, and hands maybe get trapped in heavy loads being moved about. These are assets that move while you walk on them. These are environments that are completely not the kind of place that you enjoy being on, but still we need them because we need energy. And so people go out there, extremely highly competent, well-trained people go out there and do their job in a very accurate, proceduralized manner. And if they don't apply quality assurance to their job, they're not going to come home. And if we don't make sure that they can apply these quality standards to their job, we're not going to have them home. So that's the safety link. I'll give you a few examples. Fukushima, you all know about this. The accident was preventable. That was what came out of the inquiry. Had the plant's owner and the regulator followed international best practices and standards, quality standards, for example, for the protection wall that was in place, they could have prevented this disaster. They could have predicted the possibility of the plant being struck by a massive tsunami. This was nothing out of the impossible. The plant would have withstood the tsunami had it designed, previously been upgraded in accordance with state-of-the-art safety approaches. So this is a quality issue, and it is also a safety issue. Another example that you are well familiar with, I guess, is the Deepwater Horizon disaster. Again, it was preventable had existing guidelines and practices been followed. They hadn't. The quality of how they were followed wasn't high. And BP, who bears the primary responsibility for the operation, reliability and stewardship of the exploration, is to be blamed. Federal regulators bear the primary responsibility for overseeing the operations. This includes assuring that adequate and acceptable quality and reliability factors, including safety, are implemented. Now, in the inquiry, it was found that BP and the regulator failed to properly evaluate and manage the likelihoods of failure, properly evaluate and manage the consequences of failure, and abide by the legal standards of care. They also failed to properly apply the National Environmental Protection Act and other environmental and public leasing laws. So do you start to see the link between quality and the way we do things and the way we provide services and the way we operate assets, installations, and the impact on safety? Yeah, I see a few nodding heads. You've heard of the Super Puma events in Aberdeen. We had quite a number of accidents and disasters in the past few years where a particular kind of helicopter ditched or crashed into the North Sea, and the last event led to a number of fatalities. The inquiry into this incident or accident is still ongoing. However, what has been published so far is that it wasn't a technical error. So we are down to human factors. What does that mean, human factors? This is probably to do with competency, training, standards, procedures not applied, maintenance maybe, something to do with the human contribution to this accident. And again, this is a quality of work conduct issue. So now that I've shown you rather public examples of the link between quality and safety, I'd like to take you into the energy sector and show you a bit about of what we're doing in Lloyds with regards to renewable energy. This is the wind farm life cycle that I've prepared, and our risk management services that come with it. And I'm not going to go into the depth of it simply due to time reasons, because I'd like to move into the other part of the journey pretty soon. However, what it encompasses is we have a concept and design stage, a construction stage, which is where the actual wind, the actual generator is produced onshore, and then it's towed out to the sea and needs to be installed onto the seabed or into the seabed, and then needs to be connected with cables and whatever back to land, usually through a substation, an electrical substation. And once that's been done, it starts operating, which is the commissioning phase. Then we've got the commission, then starts operation. It operates and is maintained over years until its lifetime comes to an end. And then you might talk about lifetime expansion. So you try to get the whole asset to remain sustainable, safe, and work at a high standard, high quality standard, but safely. And once this lifetime is over, really, you would go into decommissioning. So along all of this, we provide services. They range from cable installation and substation placement assessment. So we assess again, we validate, we audit, we risk assess, and we advise. What we also do, and this is what is highlighted here in blue, is we manage human performance. So we do perform workplace and task design studies, we perform competency assurance studies, we survey safety culture, and we look at safety interventions. Now the last two, safety culture and safety intervention, are what is important for the collaboration part of this. Because if you look at these pictures, it gives you an impression of the actual very thing that we're talking about when we talk about wind farms offshore. We're talking about a hostile environment. We're talking about wind, waters that you wouldn't survive for more than 2 hours swimming in it. After 5 minutes, your organs would shut down and reduce to the, life-maintaining mechanisms. So you'd be unconscious after 5 minutes in the North Sea water, at least at this time of the year. And for another 2 hours, you might survive if you have your life jacket on, but that's it then. So extremely hostile environment. It moves, it's cold, it's uncomfortable, it's noisy, there's operation going on the whole time. It is hazardous. It's a high risk environment. And yet people work there day in, day out, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. So if you look at this guy, he's very high up and he's trying to install something to the top of the very installation. So there's always people involved to, by almost miracle, make sure that these things somehow get out there and then work. We get the energy from it. We wouldn't be sitting here without this energy. But these people go out and do the work. And we have to make sure that they do this safely. And we have to make sure that they can do this safely. So this is a picture, I'm not going to go into detail, but this is a picture that just gives you an impression of what is behind a single wind farm. Yeah, so we've got surveys done, you've got foundations laid, you've got turbines and substations, operation and maintenance. And this is the subsea landscape, really. You've got divers going out there, you've got You've got diggers who dig into the sea ground, laying cables. You've got people who have to kind of connect all these things to each other, maybe through remote operated vehicles, but maybe in person by diving down there and making sure this all comes together. It's an incredible work environment. It's hazardous, it's exciting, but it's by nature unsafe, and it's challenging. And it's not one person doing this. This is hundreds of people making sure that this comes to be. And so for them to be able to work together in a coordinated and safe way, you need to have an interface. You need to make sure that person A doesn't know what person B is doing. And you need to make sure that you can rely on somebody you've never seen, who's working for a different company, on a different shift, on a different task, but what he does has an impact on your job and on your safety. So how do you manage that interface? How do you make sure that you will be safe and you go home in one piece again? That's one of the key questions, and that's what leads us into the cooperation side of this presentation. I have taken this picture. It's the memorial for the Deepwater Horizon, and I wanted to show you this and ask you what you think and feel when you see this picture. What do you feel?
Tragedy, perhaps.
Yeah, tragedy. What else?
Sadness and rage.
Yeah.
Rage.
Yeah, rage. Sadness and rage. Anyone else?
Frustration.
Frustration, yeah.
But there is a lesson to be learned.
A lesson to be learned. I see this picture and I feel pain. Because I know this picture represents people that have lost their lives that day on the platform. And they're dead and they can't come back. But there is a great amount of people who are still alive. And they've died inside with them. I'm talking about sons and daughters. I'm talking about wives, maybe husbands, who've lost their love. I'm talking about parents who've lost their sons and daughters. Grandparents, best friends, mates, colleagues, gone. So there's probably thousands of people still affected by this. And for me, this pain that they're all suffering is represented in this picture. Now, it's our responsibility to make sure that nobody's going to have to feel that pain. It's not supposed to be like this. These people go out there to make sure we have energy. We have to make sure they go out there and come home safely. That's the bottom line. For me, that's the bottom line in quality assurance, and that's the bottom line in safety. If you ever decide to go down that path and work in this environment and in this industry, you will have a legal obligation to make sure operation is safe. You have a legal obligation, if you see something unsafe, to interfere and intervene. So for the sake of safety, all the people involved in operation have the legal obligation to actually stop the job when they see something unsafe. If this unsafe thing that you see and turn a blind eye on goes wrong and somebody dies, you will be in court. And not only that, I don't want to be in your skin if I've let somebody die and haven't said something, although I saw something. So how do we do this then? And this is the big problem that people have offshore. We still have a nut to crack here. You work with somebody that you maybe know for a while, or maybe you work with somebody they haven't seen before. You come by his job and you think, that doesn't look right for me. I've never seen this person before, maybe. He's actually a competent person, otherwise he wouldn't be out there. He's been trained. He's gone through parts of the same training as you have. You know he has. So how on earth are you going to turn around to him now, or her, and say, listen, I don't think you do your job right? It's your legal obligation, and it's your heart concern, because you want to make sure you're safe and everybody else is safe as well. But how do you do that? What do you think happens if you turn around to him and say, excuse me, could I stop the job for a moment and have a safety conversation with you? If I said this to you, what would be your immediate reaction inside? It's this. It's defense. It's defense. We defend ourselves. We defend our competency. We defend our way of doing things and our feeling of I'm here for, I have a right to be here because I know what I'm doing. So how on earth are we going to do this then? If it's our legal obligation and we want to go home safely again, but there are so many people working in this environment coming from all kinds of streams of life and professions and occupations and companies and organizations. How do we get them all together and make sure they're safe if we don't really know how to talk to each other about safety matters? There's been research conducted on exactly that topic, on safety interventions and how to conduct them, and this is the stuff that's been found. There's a strange sort of competition between yourself or myself and my crew members. So that's a safety leader going out, having to have wanting to do these conversations and still feeling, I feel like I'm competing with them about who's right, who knows better. We often end up playing power games. Yeah? Or I sometimes feel compelled to find something at fault, even if in the situation given there's nothing really wrong. Because I'm on the spot and have to now find something to prove I'm right. So this is a very tricky situation. Coming back to the Deepwater horizon, on the very day the blowout happened, there were 4 senior managers were having a tour on this platform, a visibility tour. They did not check on what people were actually doing at the time of observation and whether they were complying with safety requirements. So again, that's quality, right? You go out as a senior person to check, actually, that's part of your job, check whether people really know what they're doing. But they didn't do this. They checked for conditions, they checked harnesses, they checked housekeeping issues, and they had reasons why they didn't check it. These weren't bad people. These were experienced, knowledgeable, competent people. So there's no bad intention in this, but they didn't do it for a reason. And the reasons were that they were concerned not to interfere in operations. So even when they heard that on the drilling deck there were problems, and this, by the way, were the first signs of things going wrong, they didn't ask further questions. They rather tried to go away and leave them to do their business so that they weren't too much interfered with, trusting they'd sort this out. They did not want to disrupt or disturb the activities. They were concerned to undermine the authority of the local managers. So if people from outside, they were seniors, they weren't really working on a platform. They came from high above, if you like, coming in, doing a tour. If they started asking too much questions about the competency of the people, that might have been perceived as undermining the local management. The implied message, however, was if senior managers come on board and they don't dare or worry to interfere, then how on earth would a normal person, a driller or a worksman, have the courage or the motivation to interfere? Yeah. So the message was you need a very good reason indeed to justify stopping the job and having an intervention. That was the very message sent. With all the good intentions, completely wrong message sent, with a very disastrous outcome. In Lloyds Register Consulting, we are developing strategies. We've done a lot of research into this. We're developing strategies to actually help people overcome these hurdles. The general idea is, if I have an idea of your job and the situation that we have at hand here, and this is my idea, and you have a maybe completely different idea of this, your reality in which you work, the hazards you see, the important bits to your job that you value as being important, might be completely different. So that's your world. We have to start talking. I have to start off asking open questions to understand your world. And maybe I have to tell you about my understanding of this job so that we come to a mutual understanding of this. So that's one thing that we do, and we've developed strategies for that. The other thing has to do, and that goes back to, I don't want you to question my competence. There's a face-keeping issue in this. Now, when you talk about face-keeping, you maybe think Asia somewhere. That's the area that deals with face. It's not. Face-keeping and politeness is a big part of the UK culture. And it's actually a big part of every culture worldwide. And that's been proven in research. So there's a lot of face-threatening aspects in actually having these conversations. And we have worked on strategies on how to overcome these and to have a conversation in a comfortable, non-threatening way with a positive outcome. That's what we've worked on. So that's part of our contribution to make this a safer world, really, and allow collaboration and cooperation in this hostile environment. Any questions?